Well, good Monday morning to you. A little hazy out there, I think from our forest fires or something, I don't know. But Lisa said she felt even a little chilly out there this morning. So get a little cool start to the day, but it's going to warm up again the way it sounds. Hope you had a great weekend. We did. Got a lot of little projects done around the house and capped it off last night by going up to the Hamilton County Fair and watching the demolition derby and the trailer races. So hadn't been there for that. It was packed, a lot of fun, and most fun was just watching and listening to Lisa laugh. So it was a good way to cap off the weekend. So came home and worked on the Proverbs for you this morning, and we're starting I guess it's called like the third section of the Proverbs. And one commentator puts it this way. Solomon's Proverbs begin here. A proverb is a pithy statement about how to make the best possible decision with regard to a particular scenario. So that sounds good, but I wondered what a pithy statement was. So a pithy statement is brief, but full of substance and meaning. So the Proverbs changes, or Solomon changes the way he's writing the Proverbs now for these next 10 or 12 chapters. He started out almost more like in a story or a speech or a lecture form. So the chapters had just a long flow of ideas. And today he goes back to just these short statements. If you do this, this will happen. This is good, this is bad. This is bad, this is good. So rather than reading the Psalms straight, or the Proverbs straight through, we're going to just kind of take it as it's written and just grab these truths as we go through. So we'll start in Proverbs 10 with verse 1, and we'll do 1, 2, and 3. No, just one, sorry. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. Pretty straightforward there. Solomon, these Proverbs are written for people of any age, but especially if you remember he started out writing to my son about the different issues. They're directed to children and for parents to pass on knowledge to their children. And so he makes it clear that a wise child will bring joy to a father, but the foolish child will bring grief to the mother. That's pretty obvious, pretty self-explanatory there. The thing that we have to remember is we as parents can do our best to help our kids learn truth, but we have no control over the way our kids will respond or react to that. Each child will grow up and make their own decisions and be responsible for those decisions as they become adults. But we as parents do our best to instill this knowledge into our kids and pray that their hearts will be soft and take it in. So verses 2 through 5. Tainted wealth has no lasting value, but right living can save your life. The Lord will not let the godly go hungry, but he refuses to satisfy the cravings of the wicked. Lazy people are soon poorer. Hard workers get rich. So this section has to do with hard work and prosperity. You can get money. Tainted wealth, you can get money illegally or not through hard work, but it could cost you your life. Right living will not. Hungry people who follow God, they won't go hungry, but the wicked, they'll never be satisfied. There's always something more that they want. They always have to have the next thing. Lazy people, they're not going to get rich. In theory, we could always, I'm sure somebody can sit out there and say, well, I know We can always find an exception, but these, again, are general statements and general truths. And so hard work. And it doesn't necessarily make us rich in terms of the world's riches, but we will have the wealth of honesty, integrity, right living, etc., that we're going to continue to unpack as Solomon continues to share with us. So verses 6 and 7, the godly are showered with blessings. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. We have happy memories of the godly, but the name of a wicked person rots away. And so again, there's blessings and happiness there. Blessings from God should bring us happiness. Unfortunately, the blessings sometimes that we get cause us stress. When we think of the blessing of a job and our health and a loving family, sometimes we stress over that and we work too hard, or we try too hard, or we lose the blessing from God and we lose our happiness. So when we think of what God has done for us, there should be happy memories, and we should rest in those blessings, not stress over them. Verses 8 through 10, the wise are glad to be instructed, but babbling fools fall flat on their faces. People with integrity walk safely, but those who follow crooked paths will slip and fall. People who wink at wrong cause trouble, but a bold reproof promotes peace. So again, the wise are going to listen to instruction. Integrity is the way to walk safely, and sometimes a bold reproof will be the thing that's needed for a babbling fool, or the person who winks at what's wrong. Sometimes a stern correction is needed. Verse 11, the words of the godly are a living foundation. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. Again, godly people are going to have a life-giving foundation. The words of a godly person are going to lead us into godly ways. But the words of wicked people will hide their evil intentions. Wicked people are always looking to get ahead, or get a break, or get something that they actually don't deserve or haven't earned. And so we have to be mindful of that. Verse 12, hatred stirs up quarrels, but love makes up for all offenses. There's a lot of hatred in the world right now, and a lot of quarreling going on. Love, on the other hand, it doesn't accept everything as right and true. It doesn't accept everything and just lay down and let every argument win. But love is also sacrificial in that it will pick its battles. It will pick its times to speak the truth in love. And love can cover up a multitude of offenses. Forgiveness can cover up a multitude of sins, so to speak. And so it's not always making sure that your voice is heard. It's making sure that your voice is heard at the right times, and that your voice is heard with love. The truth is spoken with love. 13 and 14. Wise words come from the lips of people with understanding, but those lacking sense will be beaten with a rod. Wise people treasure knowledge, but the babbling of a fool invites disaster. So again, more talk. Solomon's talking a lot about our words. How are the words that we speak? How are they being used? So wise words are going to come from understanding, and wise people are going to treasure knowledge. We will get wise understanding as we treasure knowledge. We will have knowledge as we have wise understanding. They go together. And so we're going to speak that wisdom and that knowledge. But he says, those who lack sense are going to be beaten with a rod. Those who refuse to listen to what's right, in the old days anyway, we got spankings. We got put in our place. And that was a way of trying to straighten us out. And those who babble continuously are going to find disaster. They just won't listen to what's right. They're going to find wrong. So, verse 15 and 16, the wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their destruction. The earnings of the godly enhance their lives, but evil people squander their money on sin. The wealth do seem to have this fortress about them. They seem to be kind of untouchable today. And we can look at all different kinds of situations. And the poverty of the poor is their destruction. There is a sense that you can get locked into poverty. And in fact, the system is rigged to keep you there. Our current system does not help people get out of poverty. It locks them into poverty and keeps them there. And so that we need to be looking at that and how we can change that and fix that and help those. But there's also the earnings of the godly will enhance their lives. Godly people will use their earnings wisely. But evil people will squander whatever money they get on sin. And they will just constantly be looking for the wrong things at the wrong places at the wrong time. And they'll lose whatever earnings they have. Always chasing that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and it doesn't work out. Verse 17, people who accept discipline are on the pathway to life, but those who ignore correction will go astray. Again, just very simple. If we'll listen to discipline, if we'll accept discipline, we will be on the pathway to life. We'll live. We'll be making, if we listen to discipline, we'll begin to make wise and right decisions. Again, I always tell kids, I said, if you want to stop the arguing with your parents, just do what they tell you to do. If you do what they tell you to do, the arguing will stop. You'll be on their pathway. I said, you don't have to agree with them. When you move out of the house, you can make up your own rules and live your own life. But for right now, if you obey, you'll have peace. You'll get along. But if you ignore the correction and go astray, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be a lot of yelling and grounding and etc. So pretty simple there. Verse 18, hiding hatred makes you a liar. Slandering others makes you a fool. If you're hiding hatred, but you try to act like you're not full of hate, you're a liar. Your heart is what's going to be the truth about you. And so if you're hiding things, you're lying to other people and you're lying to yourself, slandering people, putting people down, that makes you a fool. So again, be careful about how you're speaking about other people. 19 through 21. Too much talk leads to sin. Be sensible and keep your mouth shut. The words of the godly are like sterling silver. The heart of a fool is worthless. The words of the godly encourage many, but fools are destroyed by their lack of common sense. Too much talk leads to sin. If you're just constantly talking, you're wearing people out. You're going to be eventually sharing things that lead to gossip and lead to sin. Be sensible and keep your mouth shut. Take a breath. Let somebody else talk. I would say God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So spend some time listening instead of thinking you have to be the one who's talking all the time, that you always have to one up somebody on stuff. Back, just back it up a little bit, quiet down. The words of the godly are sterling silver, they're valuable. The words of the godly are valuable. So when you speak, there should be value in what you say. So you don't need to be talking all the time. And the words of the godly will encourage many. Again, there should be some positivity there. There should be, when people hear what you're saying, they should be encouraged by it, not wore out by you just going on and on and on. So yeah, you babbling all the time is worthless, and it can lead to destruction. And it shows you don't have any common sense, he says. So quiet down a little bit. Verse 22, the blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Again, the blessings that come from God, they come from God. And so we shouldn't get worked up about it. We shouldn't get, again, we shouldn't be worrying about our jobs, our incomes, our health, our families. We should be looking at that as a blessing. God is blessing us with those things. He's giving us those things not to worry about, but to take care of, yes, but not to worry about. Verse 23 through 25. Doing wrong is fun for a fool, but living wisely brings pleasure to the sensible. The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. The hopes of the godly will be granted. When the storms of life come, the wicked are whirled away, but the godly have a lasting foundation. So again, doing wrong is fun for a fool. And gosh, that just took me back to my teenage years, my early 20 years, the foolish things that I did. And I thought they were fun. And I'm lucky to be alive in certain instances, literally. Foolishness, yeah, it sounds like fun at the time, but boy, it can lead to destruction. But living wisely brings pleasure to the sensible. I feel a lot more sensible these days. Some people would say I'm a lot more boring, but I'm alive, and I'm enjoying what God has given me for life. So yeah, just the fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. If they fear getting caught, if they fear being discovered, if they fear being found out because their plan is, yeah, it'll happen. God's going to expose them. But the hopes of the godly are granted. We hope in Jesus. And for those of us who believe, it's granted. So we don't get every individual hope, but the hopes that we find in Jesus, God will provide, will give us. 26, lazy people irritate their employers like vinegar to the teeth or smoke in the eyes. And boy, is there some truth in that one. You talk to people who are older, such as myself, and we look at this generation. We literally have kids showing up at Iowa State University as freshmen in college who, when applying for a job, say, this is the first job I've ever had. They have no clue, what it takes to work, what it takes to fulfill their job as an employer. They think they can come in and tell their boss when they're going to be there and when they're not, and how it's really interesting. But yes, definitely irritating to employers and frustrating. And so when you find that good employee, it's like, whoa, there's this needle in the haystack that you found, this diamond in the rough. And it's way different from so many of us who were working when we were 14 and 15 and 16 and knew what it took to follow and obey an employer and listen and such. So yeah, that one's an easy one to figure out. 27 through 30. A fear of the Lord lengthens one's life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. The hopes of the godly result in happiness, but the expectations of the wicked come to nothing. The way of the Lord is a stronghold to those with integrity, but it destroys the wicked. The godly will never be disturbed, but the wicked will be removed from the land. So again, the fear of the Lord lengthens one's lives, but the years of the wicked are cut short. How many people can we think about whose lives were cut short? They weren't wicked in terms of the way that we think of wickedness, but they were foolish, made unwise decisions, and they lost their lives because of it. Again, when we're young, we think we're going to live forever. And for some, they find out that that's not true. So again, the hopes of the godly result in happiness. The way of the Lord is a stronghold to those with integrity. And the godly will not be disturbed. Right living is going to lead to the right outcomes. But those wicked, their expectations. And I know, again, we look around and we see just craziness in the world seeming to win out. But again, in general, Solomon's saying there's going to come a day when God's going to balance the scales, and the righteous will find out that they made the right choices. Closing it up with 31:32, the mouth of the godly person gives wise advice, but the tongue that deceives will be cut off. The lips of the godly speak helpful words, but the mouth of the wicked speaks perverse words. Check your words. What are you saying? Are your words giving wise advice, godly wisdom, or are you speaking perversely and deceiving? Make sure what you say and what you post is true. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Check it out. Make sure the things that you say are encouraging and godly, not your rant or your opinion that can lead people in the wrong way. So that's the Proverbs 10 of Solomon. So let's pray. Father, thanks for Solomon. Thanks for just his wisdom of, mainly today, I just keep hearing over and over the words that we speak. The words that come out of our mouths can be either helpful or destructive. So today, help us to think about that as we go about our day. Again, help us to self-examine. Help us to realize, again, to remember we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Help our words to be wise, helpful, and encouraging today. Help us to speak truth and even to rebuke those sometimes when needed. But again, out of love, not to win an argument, not in a power play. Help our words to be encouraging to those around us today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, gang, thanks. Good to see you, Elaine and Todd. Have a great day. Remember, today's a day for something good. So be that instrument today. Love you all. Bye-bye.